I don't really understand what the whole thing was. I'm sure somebody will inform me of that. As I'm now continuing through Grave, which has butterflies as well as there's weird things that have been floating. I don't know what they are. They're like a pocket of like weird pimples floating in the air. And take them out. But this time around they're gray instead of all the other colors we've seen them. I think blue, green, purple. We've pretty much seen them as every possible color that we could, as we now face off with a gray skeleton. Like I said, basically, not a whole lot of enemies, but that's probably because the size of the game, with everything else, took up so much that they really had to, like, kind of, you know, downgrade on the amount of enemies that are in the game. But that really doesn't bother me too much. Continue on, knock this skeleton into the hole, and he's done for. I like the fact that even when falling in the hole, he's still trying to hit me with the sword just a little bit, anything he possibly can. Okay, boss of Grave. A wizard that throws little throwing stars. He kind of like conjures up a throwing star, and then throws it at you. That or like a I don't know, some kind of tack. You know, whatever. He's really not difficult. He teleports a few times, but with some charged up good hits, he's taken care of, and now it's time for the boss of 4, which is... he's half tree, half deer. And the only reason I always thought he was half deer was because it looks like he kind of has antlers, but he really is just kind of weird, messed up tree, even with roots. He throws out little tiny seedlets that kind of form into like weird types of plants that are... hurt you, of course, if you walk into them, as I gotta be really careful as I have 1 hit left, but he's really not that hard, so a few charged up hits later, he is taken care of, and 4-2, aka Grave, has been cleared. And of course I get all my health fully back before heading in the world, or round 5. And more cutscene, as we will continue on the storyline, as we get a nice shot of Astyanax's eyes. We've arrived at last! As we have a nice panning shot, which is a nice, pretty, graphical panning shot, as it will pan over and we'll actually get a good look at, like, the mountain that has that contains the castle on top of it, which, of course, is our final destination, where Princess Rosebud is being held captive. That is the castle. Yeah, really? I would hope it wasn't some other castle. I would hope the princess isn't in another castle at this point, Cutie. I mean, how far have we really traveled, and now you're gonna tell me it was the wrong, I mean, come on. Are you really gonna do that? Of course not. This isn't Mario. But, okay, we have the fish guys are back. If you didn't enjoy them enough in Marshy, we get them back in 5-1, except they're a slightly different color, and now they're like a weird color that, I don't know, weird purplish color. I don't know, they're kind of sickly looking. Even though the water's actually blue here, it's actually nice looking water and not putrid purple from like some poison. It could have been, what more and more I think about is like more Final Fantasy references. How can I throw them into? Okay, I'll throw another Final Fantasy reference, and I should have thrown in Marshy. It kind of looks like the water at Doma Castle after Kefka poisons it and kills all the citizens of Doma except for Cyan. Senator Cyan, however you want to say his name. But yeah, and that's color, the pretty much same exact color that these fish are, even though they're swimming in blue water. It makes a lot of sense. But the cool thing is, with a full charged up hit, I can take out those fish guys in one single strike, so at least that's cool. Except that time I had taken out a small thing, so it wasn't a full charged up shot. As I bounce those weird cycloptic things that look like the things from Doom against the wall. Take out that fish. And continue forward. Now this is actually, mini-boss is actually pretty much the toughest mini-boss in my opinion throughout the game. It's a griffin and a lion together, or an eagle and a lion together. And together they form this weird bird-lion combination that really isn't seen, I guess, too often. And it flies around, it's a little bit of a pain. A few good charged up hits, of course, will take it out, but that's definitely, I think, one of the harder mini-bosses that you actually have to take out, because it kind of has 2 forms. Not just them separated, but them together, so it's kind of a longer battle. As we now head the 5-2 called Cliff. If Grave had dead bodies and skulls, everything, all over the place, what will Cliff have to do with? I wonder. And of course, no shock, it's a cliff level, based on a level that we're going up in. Kind of like 2-2, but, more epic because it's later in the game and we're climbing up the cliff to get to the top of it, which is where the castle is located. Things about this level I actually do like, though, is I like the background. Like, the same generic prisoner is encased in almost every cell. I mean, look, it's the same guy, and he has no eyes or anything. I guess they're cut off by the blue bar that's covering him up, but very short level. Make it to the top here. Now we're taking out the same guy we fought at the end of 3-2, flexing his muscle, thinking he's all cool and crap, but in fact he's actually pretty weak, and we'll take him out after only a few hits, and slowly walk up the stream, and we have now completed 5-2. And of course I get a whole bunch of extra bonus points, and now they're charged back up. Okay, another cutscene? What is this? Is this really a castle? Well, I really don't know what kind of question that is. You know, and of course Cutie's gonna inform us, be careful, we are in the maze. Not a maze, but the maze. The only maze that really should matter in the world. But I can hear the princess's voice. Somehow the princess is able still to communicate, even though I pretty much thought she was paralyzed, or, you know, her telekinetic powers were paralyzed by the great mighty Thorndog, but obviously she still has some strength left in her telepathic powers. Something has stopped her telepathic signal! Oh, really? Something has now. Yeah, okay. Basically, this is supposed to be the most confusing level in the entire game. Of course, this is the castle, the first part of the castle, as this is level 6-1. And basically, they said look for a sign. And what that sign is of course you have to enter in the correct door. A kind of thing that's going on in many games. For example, I just had it a couple weeks ago when I did Monster Party. I had a maze like that in it. But this game is really pretty easy once you figure out the sign. And what the sign is, a skeleton will only pop up in front of the door that you have to enter. So if you see a skeleton pop up, boom, that's the door you have to enter. Of course, with this being maze, it's actually the longest level in the entire game. So they actually make the maze actually pretty long and actually, you know, halfway worth doing. The only thing that always used to confuse me is the fact you actually have to hold the up button for like 4 or 5 seconds in front of the door in order to enter it. And the very first time I remember playing up to this part, I was like, what in the heck? Why do I get, like, why am I not entering the door when I press up? So I would press every single other button on the controller, and it was like, maybe I'm not supposed to enter the doors, and then I could not find where to go, so. Anyway, that's a little bit of annoying, but not too bad, I guess. But for back then, as like a 5-year-old, that used to drive me up the wall. Take out that skeleton and teleport through that door. As you can see, the colors, of course, are changing on the backgrounds and all as we continue through. Basically the same exact backgrounds, just with a different color scheme. And like I said, just gonna keep walking until I see, boom, a skeleton. The mighty great skeleton appears, and I'm going through that door. I don't even care if I take out the skeleton, because he's really not the important reason of why we're here. As we gonna move on and have the weird blobs like floating over top of me. This is that part in the game where I said a little bit annoying with these blobs because I'm on a smaller platform, because I'm almost to the ceiling. And the fact that there's 3 of them floating around me is, yeah, a little bit of annoying. But just a tad bit. As we are now in like the main garden area, as we're about to do battle with one of the weirder looking bosses. I don't know if this one's supposed to be like the first battle with Thorndog, or is that, you know, after this, because it kind of resembles, because he does have a crown, but he kind of looks like a retarded mummy. So I'm really not sure, you know, what he is. But anyway, it has basically my fire ability, but it's very, very weak. And he teleports a few times underneath the ground, and he's taken care of. And now we get the big cutscene with Thorndog. Welcome, brave warrior, from another world. Could you speak any slower? I am Thorndog. Awesome, the great mighty Thorndog. Cutie is, of course, going to confront of where is the princess. And Thorndog decides to laugh it off. You are a noisy fly. She will be a slave to Blackhorn soon. Could I speak any slower? Astyanax, of course, is now getting ticked off. He's like, okay, it's finally time to go. But, you know, I will destroy you. Then I'll rescue her. It's like, everyone everyone has some kind of talking problem in this game. And of course, Thorndog throws back a nice a nice revenge word at us. But here is Thorndog. I mean, does that look anything like the thing I expected it to be? I mean, come on. Are you what? I don't know. Something weird about it. Anyway, his hand keeps regrowing. Our main focus is, of course, the big, giant, pulsating thing in his chest, which we can't get to unless we take his arm off. So he keeps regrowing his arm, but a strategy to the thing is just go behind him real fast if you have a lot of health left, and just start jumping and hitting with full charges in the back. You'll take damage, of course, but